Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. The top stories this hour. The Martin Amaule-led Rivers State House of Assembly has rejected Governor Fubara's invitation. EFCC to probe fraud allegations against former Osun State Governor Oyetola. United Nations agency reports a rise in attacks in eastern cities in DR Congo. Details of these stories and more coming up shortly. News Central now at this hour begins with developments in Rivers State, where we understand that the Rivers State House of Assembly has rejected Governor Siminalayi Fubara's invitation to a meeting, insisting that it must be communicated formally, not through social media. The invitation issued by the Secretary to the state government aimed to discuss key issues, including the 2025 budget and lawmakers' allowances. However, lawmakers loyal to former Governor Nyesom Wike dismissed it, with some mocking Fubara in viral videos. Following a Supreme Court ruling affirming their legitimacy, the Assembly had demanded the budget presentation and commissioner nominations. Tensions remain high as the lawmakers' 72-hour ultimatum to the Rivers State Electoral Commission chairman expires today. To discuss this, we're joined by a public affairs analyst, Francis Chilaka. Hello, Francis. Thank you so much for joining us on the news this morning.
Thanks. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, looking at the ongoing tensions between Governor Fubara and the Amaule-led Assembly, let's have your thoughts on the invitation and what it signifies politically. Do you think that it is a genuine attempt, at reconciliation or a strategic move?
Well, I believe that it was the right thing for the governor to invite them. It shows that the governor is ready to embrace peace, and the governor is also ready to, effect the rulings of the Supreme Court. So I had wished, and I still wish, that the 7 lawmakers will understand the need for there to be peace in Rivers State, not just because of them, but because of the people of the state. The people of the state are the ones who would suffer any backlog at the end of the day. I'm one of those who believe in it's better for us to judge than to war. And honestly, I do not understand why these 27 lawmakers are bent on going on a war path with the governor. At the end of the day, let us not hope for the worst. But if this thing continues and there's a breakdown of law and order in the state, we know that there will be a state of emergency declared. And then who would benefit? Everybody will suffer it. So I don't know why these 27 lawmakers are behaving like rascals. They should be able to embrace peace and allow peace to reign.
Speaking of how they're behaving, now the lawmakers are also insisting on proper communication channels for the invitation. What are your thoughts, on this? Because last night we did speak to, some analysts, and they say that they talked about a viral video of how some lawmakers were saying they will not attend the meeting, which is scheduled for, 10 a.m. this morning, less than an hour. And, some were even seen mocking him and the rest. Is it a way to avoid engaging with the governor?
I would say that these lawmakers are behaving like charlatans right now. They're behaving like babies. They seem not to understand what democratic tenets mean, and they don't understand what it means to represent the people. So yes, I expect that they will behave the way they are behaving, because for them, they feel that they've gotten victory from the Supreme Court, and all they want to do is to be able to push the governor to a point where the governor will have no say in the state. And, it's uncalled for, honestly speaking. I get so ashamed when I see adults behaving, like babies. And I ask myself, is this the kind of democracy we really want in this country? And then you have, you also have psychophants who will hail all kinds of rubbish. And that's why this country is not moving forward. A lot of us don't speak truth to power. So I would say that these people they're chewing more than they can actually swallow right now. And I would ask them, in the interest of Rivers State, in the interest of the people of Rivers State, they should seek the path of peace and not the path of war.
All right, so in the interest of Rivers State, if the 27 lawmakers decide to reject the meeting, what impact will this have on governance in the state, particularly regarding the 2025 budget and other legislative functions?
Well, if they decide not to embrace peace, it's a pointer to the fact that the Supreme Court has given a wrong judgment. The Supreme Court has on its own created monster in the state. And this is what everybody has feared before now. So what will play out is that there will be a state of anarchy. There will probably be, lawlessness in the state. Don't also forget that non-state actors have been on one side threatening thunder and brimstone. And what I don't want to play out in Rivers State is for it to become an ethnic issue. Don't forget that the current governor is from Ijo, so to say. Is from the Ijo area. The deputy is from Ikwere. The Amawule-led house, the Amawule himself is from Ikwere. So what it means is that if they go ahead and impeach the governor, power goes back to Ikwere. And I believe that people from Ijo will not agree. So there has to be a balance, and that balance is for people to shield their sword. It's for people to throw away their pride and see how they can move forward. And it behoves on the Minister of FCT, who has been the one, bankrolling this set of people, to be able to call them to order. I honestly don't understand why somebody would want to set his own house ablaze and, stand back and watch it burn. So, Wike needs to be called to order. And I'm surprised that Mr. President is not calling Wike to order. He should call Wike to order. This man has been elected as a governor. Whatever you did to help him become a governor, you only had one vote. So if you say you made him a governor, you were not the one who voted him. You had just one vote. You could have induced people to vote for him, but he is not elected as a governor. Why don't you allow him to function as a governor? Why do we keep having, godfatherism trying to derail our democracy in Nigeria? It is really a shameful one.
Okay, now for the sake of balance, because, most people have already predicted that this meeting this morning might not hold, but it's likely to be rescheduled. What challenges could arise in the negotiation process, particularly regarding the Assembly's demands for a budget presentation?
Yes, well, they've demanded for it, but it's also subject to negotiation. And you cannot negotiate if you don't sit on a round table. Yeah. So they must create the enabling environment. The governor has opened his arms and invited them for a dialogue. So they must also reciprocate that by accepting that invitation, and sit down with the governor and hear what he has to say and find a way. There must be a way out of this crisis. There must be a way. There is no crisis without a solution. But it's just when people don't want to have a solution and they feel that, they are above the law or that they have so much power, they try to abuse it. They say power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. It is that absolute corruption that this 27 lawmakers are exhibiting right now. But I would appeal to them. Let peace reign.
All right, well, thank you so much, Francis, for your time and also for speaking to us on this.
You're welcome.
We now head to Parliament, where the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, Senator Neda Imaswen, has defended the committee's decision to recommend the suspension of Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. In an International Women's Day message made available to News Central, he clarified that the committee's recommendation was strictly based on Akpoti-Uduaghan's conduct during plenary on February 20th and had no connection to her sexual harassment allegations against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Senator Imaswen explained that while harassment allegations are serious matters that deserve investigation, the Ethics Committee had no jurisdiction over the claims since they are already before the courts. He stressed that the suspension was in line with Senate rules, adding that the decision was not about silencing anyone, but about ensuring accountability and preserving the Senate's integrity. In the meantime, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has cautioned critics against making uninformed comments in the affairs of the upper legislative chamber. Now, Akpabio issued the warning when he received a delegation from the Niger Delta Ethics Nationality Youth Leaders Forum in Abuja. His remarks followed the recent suspension of Kogi Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for violating Senate rules, a decision that Akpabio emphasized was unanimously supported by lawmakers. Expressing concern over perceived trend of uninformed commentaries on television and social media, Akpabio urged the public to understand parliamentary rules before engaging in debates. He dismissed the saga as an attempt to undermine his leadership, attributing recent criticism to political mischief from people who he claimed lacked knowledge of Senate procedures. Earlier, a lawyer and a public affairs analyst, Vincent Otapuku, shared his thoughts on this development.
The purported suspension of Senator Natasha has provoked an exciting scholastic disputations ranging from contentious issues and responses. Anywhere you go in the court of public opinion, newspaper stand, that is on the lips of every Nigerian. There is no authority on the part of the Senate to suspend a legislature validly elected by the people of Nigeria, whom the person seeks to represent. The Supreme Court and Nigerian judiciary, the 1999 Constitution frowns at it, and the suspension, to all intents and purposes, is not only repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience, but incompatible with the provisions of the Constitution and the established principles of law, ranging from decided cases by the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, which forms part of sources of law in Nigeria. Section 4, subsection 8 of the 1999 Constitution provides, save as provided in this Constitution, the exercise of legislative powers of National Assembly or State Assembly shall be subject to the jurisdiction of the court, as the case may be. So the court has the power to conduct inquiry, and whatever they do in the National Assembly is subject to legislative powers of the court. Now, the Supreme Court of Nigeria and the Court of Appeal, in litany and cornucopia of cases, have handled situation of this and pronounced the absence of authority, legislative competence, and legislative powers of the National Assembly, be it Senate or Assembly or a representative.
In the meantime, following the call for the resignation of the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, over allegations of sexual harassment by suspended Kogi lawmaker Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, a coalition of several pro-Akpabio groups have called for caution, warning the Senate not to set a dangerous precedent. The groups, while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, also called on the Senate to disregard the petition by Akpoti-Uduaghan, saying it holds no proof, and called on the lawmaker to retract the allegations while tendering an unreserved apology to the Senate.
I could simply cause on the call for the resignation of the President of the Nigerian Senate, we must be careful not to set a dangerous precedent for our dear country. Does it mean that if I want the governor of my state to step aside, I could simply cause a similar allegation against him and expect him to resign? We must tread with caution. We therefore sound this stern warning to Natasha's co-travelers to quit undermining the leadership of Nigeria's legislature or face the wrath of the Nigerian public. We demand that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan immediately retract her false allegations and apologize to the Senate President and the institution as a whole. The Senate is not a nightclub. I repeat, the Senate, the Nigerian Senate, is not a nightclub. We must protect the dignity of the hallowed chambers. We call on the Nigerian Senate to completely disregard the petition submitted by Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and refrain from using taxpayers' resources to investigate such.
Now to politics. A former Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, visited ex-Interior Minister Rauf Aregbesola and Pastor Tunde Bakare in Lagos on Sunday. Photos from the meeting went viral, sparking speculation about his political moves ahead of the 2027 elections. El-Rufai has been critical of President Bola Tinubu and the APC, blaming Tinubu for his failed ministerial nomination. Aregbesola recently left the APC, while Bakare has also criticized the government. El-Rufai's media aide, Muyiwa Adeke, confirmed the visits on social media. Meanwhile, APC leaders dismissed concerns about his movements, saying they have more serious work to do. The former governor's political future remains uncertain. Former PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has dismissed reports of his defection from the party. There have been claims that he is finalizing plans to join the Social Democratic Party, SDP. But in a statement on Saturday, Atiku's media office described the report as false, insisting he remains a committed PDP member. The statement clarified that Atiku is focused on building a broad coalition to challenge the APC, not abandoning the PDP. It urged the public to disregard what it called an attempt to mislead Nigerians about the ongoing opposition alliance. The statement adds that Atiku remains a key figure in efforts to unite opposition parties ahead of the next election. Earlier, a political analyst, Akim Fakbonda, shared his thoughts on this development.
First of all, the practice of politicians using media aid to talk to Nigerians is so insulting. Why can't he speak with his own mouth so that we know he means what he's saying? So media just hiding under one small media press release to the whole country of Nigeria is so insulting. Atiku is just out to be president and he wants to use all means to be president. So he's shopping around. He's not alone. All of them are shopping around for what will get them something that they want. Atiku was just trying to scheme for people who will ride over their back to become president. He's not going to be acting as a Democrat so that if you have a coalition, somebody coalition says it's not the president candidate, will he accept?
We take a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you that EFCC to probe fraud allegations against ex-Osun Governor Oyetola. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has again assured of federal government's commitment to resolving the cracks on Nigeria-UAE diplomatic relations. Now, speaking in a statement by its Special Assistant on Communication and New Media, Magnus Eze, the ministry said the Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates will meet in the coming days to resolve challenges faced by Nigerians in obtaining UAE visas. The statement said the decision was reached during a meeting between the UAE ambassador to Nigeria, Salim Said Al-Shamsi, and the Minister of State and Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, at the Tafawa Balewa House in Abuja. Odumegu Ojukwu acknowledged the strong diplomatic and economic ties between both countries, emphasizing that the trade imbalance between the countries will also be addressed. The Osun State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has rejected allegations of a $20 million fraud leveled against former Governor Adegboyega Oyetola by his successor, Governor Ademola Adeleke. Now, the APC claims that the allegations are politically motivated, aimed at tarnishing Oyetola's reputation. Adeleke had submitted a petition to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission accusing Oyetola of money laundering and violating the Public Procurement Act. However, the Osun APC Media Director, Kola Olabisi, challenged the Adeleke administration to provide evidence including the names of contractors and contract award dates. In response, the Osun State government maintained the petition was based on a thorough investigation and not politically motivated. Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Kolakbo Alimi, alleged that 1.5 billion naira was laundered through the Osun chapter of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria between January and October 2022. Now let's head to the courts, where the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Oho, has reassigned the case of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kano to a new judge. Kano's legal team had pushed for this change, opposing the return of the case to Justice Binta Nyako after her recusal. Lead counsel Aloy Jimako confirmed the development, revealing that they received official letters from the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Chief Judge on Friday. Kanu, convinced of his innocence, expressed gratitude to the CJN for her swift intervention. Now, his legal team says they are now focused on preparing for his defense, emphasizing the importance of a fair and speedy trial. Earlier, a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Justice Ojieno, spoke to us on this development.
They have already expressed their happiness about, because we usually say that justice is a three-way street, especially when it is criminal justice, as in this case. Justice as perceived by the defense, justice as perceived by the prosecution, and justice as perceived by the public, the people generally. And it used to be just two, because the defense was very, very disappointed, and they did not hide their disappointment. They came frontally to say that they were not happy about the constitution of the courts, and it was headed by Justice Binta Nyako for reasons which they stated. But now I'm very, very happy that at least they have been granted the request of another judge, even though the name of the new judge has not been announced yet. So I'm very happy that at least, however it goes, everybody will be to a large extent satisfied that it was actually a neutral judge, a neutral justice, a neutral referee that decided based on the evidence presented.
Aviation workers have given the federal government 14 days to remove the Nigeria Customs Area Controller at the Lagos Airport's Pilgrims and Cargo Terminal. Now, this follows an alleged assault on FAN's Director of Security, Igbafe Afegbai. The ultimatum, starting March 7, expires on March 21. The unions include the Air Transport Services, Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, the National Union of Air Transport Employees, and the Association of Nigeria Aviation Professionals also demand the redeployment of all officers involved and a reduction of customs personnel at airports. They warn of potential disruptions if their demands are not met. Reacting to the development, the National Public Relations Officer of the Customs, Abdullahi Maiwada, said both SACO and NACO, where the incident occurred, are customs licensed bonded warehouses. He was silent on the allegation of assault, but insisted that the two warehouses remained under control of the Customs Service. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has filed a 200 million naira lawsuit against Obasemiu Ogunjobi, the Olorile of Orile for Osun State, over the alleged assault of Elder Areola Abraham Love. The suit, filed on March 7, 2025 before the Osun State High Court in Ota, seeks to enforce the victim's rights to dignity, freedom of movement, and life. Falana is also demanding a public apology in major newspapers. Now, the case stems from a viral video showing Elder Love, the applicant, being assaulted by Oba Ogunjobi and others in February. The monarch was suspended for 6 months by the state government and arraigned for assault. The lawsuit claims that the assault violated Elder Love's constitutional and human rights. And let's move to education, where the federal government has adopted the Tai Solarin University of Education in Ijagun, Osun State as a federal university. TASWED will be the first federally owned tertiary institution in the Ogun East Senatorial District, an area that includes Ijebu and Remo, home to celebrated figures like Solarin and Obafemi Awolowo. With TASWED's new federal status, the federal government now oversees 3 universities dedicated to education, joining Alvan Ikoku Federal University of Education in Owerri and Adeyemi Federal University of Education in Ondo as the country's key institutions in this sector. Moving to health matters, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed a Lassa fever case involving a doctor who traveled to the UK. Sadly, the patient passed away before test results returned positive. As of March 2nd, Nigeria has recorded 535 confirmed cases and 98 deaths across 14 states, with Ondo, Bauchi, Edo, Taraba, and Ebonyi most affected. Authorities are tracing contacts and boosting surveillance, including at entry points. The virus spreads through rodent contact, contaminated food, and person-to-person transmission. Now, the NCDC urges Nigerians to keep environments clean, store food properly, and seek medical attention if symptoms appear. Early detection improves surveillance chances. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested Levi Ubodoeze, a Lagos-based automobile spare parts dealer, for attempting to smuggle 2 kilograms of concealed cocaine in vehicle propellers to Angola. The arrest followed a coordinated effort between NDLEA and Angolan authorities after the seizure of the drugs at a logistics company in Lagos on February 21st. Ubodoeze, who attempted to flee after the recipient in Angola was arrested, was captured in Lagos on March 6th. Authorities also found 75.5 kilograms of penacetine, a cocaine cutting agent, at his home. In other operations, NDLEA seized large quantities of drugs, including cannabis and tramadol, across Lagos and Kano. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, destroyed counterfeit drugs at the Monia dump site in Akinyele local government area of Oyo State. NAFDAC Director General Professor Mojishola Adeyeye said the counterfeit drugs worth 100 billion naira were confiscated from pharmaceutical drug marketers in Idumota Market, Lagos. She noted that the step became necessary to prevent the reintroduction of expired, fake, substandard, and falsified drugs into circulation. Speaking during the burning exercise, Adeyeye said NAFDAC, as the lead agency and chair of the Federal Task Force on Fake and Counterfeit Drugs and Unwholesome Processed Foods, is firmly committed to ensuring that food, drugs, cosmetics, medical devices, chemicals, packaged water and drinks are safe, wholesome, and effective for human consumption. And now let's move to security, where the Kano State Police Command says that it has arrested 4 suspected bandits from neighboring Katsina State. Speaking to journalists at the command's headquarters in Bompai, Kano, the state's police public relations officer, Haruna Kiyawa, says the sum of 1,028,800 naira was recovered from the suspects, meant for the purchase of an AK-47 rifle. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Despite the reduction in crimes bordering on insecurity in Kano State, several cases relating to terrorism are still recorded. These dangerous weapons and cash were allegedly recovered from 4 suspected terrorists arrested around the Hotoro area of the state. The police says that the terrorists are currently in detention. but won't be shown on camera.
Detectives, while on intelligence-led surveillance patrol, led by a Superintendent of Police, Ahmad Muhammad, the officer in charge of Jerkuka outpost, intercepted 4 suspected bandits along Hotoro bypass near Chula filling station. These suspects were arrested. We have Shukurana Salihu, 25 years old, Rabiu Dahiru, 35 years old, Yao Idris, 30 years old, all from Katsina State, as well as their accomplice, one Mukhtar Sani, 30 years old of Hotoro quarters, Kano. These suspects were arrested following credible intelligence information that they came to Kano with intent to buy an AK-47 rifle in order to add to their armory.
The public relations officer of the state, Haruna Kiawa, listed items recovered from the suspect, saying that investigations concerning the suspect will be discreet.
We have 3 locally made revolver pistols, 12 live ammunition of different calibers, 4 cartridges, 1 cutlass, 4 knives, 24 pieces of ball bearings called Boris, cash, sum of 1,028,800 naira, as well as these suspected charms. These suspects are currently at the Command's Criminal Investigations Department, State CID here in Bombay, and they are undergoing discreet investigation, after which they will be charged to court for prosecution.
Kiawa commended the public for cooperating with the police and called for more synergy to end insecurity in the state. In Kano for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Coming up, authorities in DR Congo offer $5 million bounties for rebel leaders' arrest. We'll tell you more after the break. Join us again. The news continues in Central Africa, where the United Nations Humanitarian Agency reports a rise in attacks on hospitals and civilian infrastructure in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo amid the ongoing assault by the armed group M23. Backed by Rwandan troops, M23 has made significant advances since January, capturing key cities like Goma and Bukavu, displacing hundreds of thousands. Between March 1st and 3rd, several hospitals were targeted, escalating violence against medical centers and personnel. Security in Goma has deteriorated with a surge in critical or criminal activity, while schools and hospitals have been forced to close there in other areas. The conflict has also led to civilian casualties, with over 100,000 people displaced in Lubero, and the DRC government accuses Rwanda of supporting M23, a claim Rwanda denies, citing its own security concerns. Still in the DRC, the government has offered $5 million in rewards for information leading to arrests of 3 leaders of the M23 rebel group, which has captured large swaths of eastern DRC this year. The bounties target Corneille Nanga, Sultani Makenga, and Bertrand Bisimwa, all of whom have been prosecuted in absentia and sentenced to death for treason. The DRC military has struggled against the Rwanda-backed rebels who have seized key cities like Goma and Bukavu. The government is also seeking international pressure on Rwanda, accusing it of looting DRC's valuable minerals, including gold and coltan. Rwanda denies the allegations but acknowledges supporting M23 to prevent the conflict from spilling over its border. The legal team of former Guinean Prime Minister Ibrahima Kassori Fofana has denied all allegations of financial misconduct following his 5-year prison sentence for embezzlement of public funds. Speaking to journalists, attorney Dina Sampil insisted that evidence exists to prove Fofana's innocence, refuting the charges brought against him. Fofana, who served as Prime Minister from 2018 until the September 2021 military coup, has been incarcerated since April 2022. He was convicted by Guinea's Special Court for Financial Crimes, CRIEF, a body set up by the ruling military government to investigate corruption. In addition to his sentence, Judge Lassana Suma ruled that Fofana must pay a fine of 2 million Guinean francs and 18 billion Guinean francs in damages and interests.
Alors, cette intervention doit être considérée comme la réplique à celle qu'a jugé nécessaire de faire Monsieur le procureur spécial auprès de la CRIEF, qui, aussitôt après le prononcé de la décision, a estimé faire une sortie dans la presse pour commenter cette décision. J'ai retenu...
Shelling by Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces has killed 7 civilians and wounded 23 others in the city of El Obeid on Sunday. The city, retaken by the army after a prolonged RSF siege last month, came under heavy bombardment, including an attack on a public transport bus. Now, this marks the 3rd consecutive day of RSF attacks on the city, which is strategically located at a crossroads linking the capital Khartoum to Darfur. The ongoing conflict between Sudan's army and the RSF, which began in April 2023, has resulted in tens of thousands of deaths, millions displaced, and a severe humanitarian crisis. Still in Sudan, the United States has ordered all non-emergency staff to leave South Sudan, citing escalating tensions and rising risks in the country. Now, this move comes as clashes between forces allied to President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Riek Machar threaten the fragile power-sharing agreement established after the 2013-2018 civil war. On Friday, a UN helicopter was attacked during a rescue mission, resulting in the death of a crew member and an army general. The U.S. State Department highlighted ongoing armed conflict and ethnic violence as key concerns. International observers have raised alarms, with the UN warning of an alarming regression in peace efforts, and the International Crisis Group fearing the country may be headed towards full-scale war and ethnic massacres. In other news from around the world, flames and smoke were seen rising from the wreckage of a small plane that crashed in a parking lot in Manheim Township, Pennsylvania. According to a statement from the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, 5 people were on board the aircraft at the time of the crash. The incident is under investigation, with authorities working to determine the cause of the crash. Emergency responders were quickly seen on the scene, and there are currently no details on the condition of the individuals involved. The crash site, located in a busy parking lot, has prompted concerns about potential damages to nearby structures. Moving away from that, the Central Electoral Bureau of Romania has dismissed the candidacy of Călin Georgescu for the rerun of the annulled presidential election. Now, his supporters, particularly in Bucharest, have reacted strongly, viewing the decision as a blow to democracy. Georgescu, known for his anti-EU and anti-NATO stance, had gained significant traction in the polls ahead of the May election. The rejection follows the Romanian Constitutional Court's annulment of the previous election due to allegations of Russian interference and extensive online promotion. The court found his candidacy violated the principles of fairness and legality in the electoral process. Georgescu now has the option to challenge the ruling at Romania's Constitutional Court potentially prolonging the political uncertainty.
Cine susține o parte sau cealaltă. Este vorba că suntem un popor și avem tot dreptul să votăm pe cine dorim. Și cu 350.000 de semnături pentru un candidat să respingi nu este deloc corect și nu este deloc normal așa ceva. De aceea toți oamenii sunt aici, s-au strâns în stradă pentru drepturile pe care le avem de drept, care ar trebui să le avem. Și nu mai există, au dispărut pe altcineva ce să voteze. Am stat foarte mult timp să studiez pe fiecare candidat în parte, nu prea avem ce să votăm. Omul ăsta a venit cu o sinceritate aparte și ne-a spus exact ce se întâmplă pe față. Până acum noi n-am avut acces la toate informațiile acestea din partea sistemului, din partea celor din guvern, da? Și acum omul acesta a venit și ne-a spus cam tot ce se întâmplă, a răspuns tuturor întrebărilor, cine spune că nu este așa, să se informeze puțin, mai bine că o să vadă că da, așa este, a răspuns.
Now in business, the trade relationship between Nigeria and the United Kingdom is currently valued at £7.8 billion, according to the UK Deputy High Commissioner, Mrs. Jill Lever. Lever made the disclosure during the unveiling of a British franchise in Abuja. The envoy described Nigeria as a high-growth market and reaffirmed the UK's commitment to strengthening economic ties, stating that Britain remains Nigeria's partner in progress. The envoy therefore stressed that the arrival of the new franchise in Nigeria is a testament to the strength of UK-Nigeria trade relations and the immense potential of the Nigerian market. Now in the world of sports, match day 28 of the Nigerian Premier Football League saw Heartland FC and Rangers International drop crucial home points. In Owerri, Heartland played a 1-1 draw with Bayelsa United. Isa Yusuf put the visitors ahead in the 54th minute before Suraj Lawal equalized. Now both teams remain just 2 points above the relegation zone. Reigning champions, Rangers, also settled for a 1-1 draw against Aqua United in Enugu. Osoba Kabir gave Aqua an early lead, but Isaac Xavier levelled after half-time. Now the result leaves Rangers in 5th place with 42 points. Elsewhere, Enyimba beat El Kanemi 1-0, Kwara United defeated Kano Pillars 2-0, and Plateau United edged Abia Warriors 1-0. Ademola Lukman netted his 50th Serie A goal at Atalanta crushed Juventus 4-0 at the Allianz Stadium on Sunday. Now the Nigerian forward played a crucial role, tormenting Juventus' defense and sealing the emphatic win. Matteo Retegui opened the scoring for the penalty spot in the 35th minute. Martin de Roon doubled the lead early in the second half after Lukman's shot was parried. Lukman assisted David Zappacosta for the third before scoring the fourth in the 75th minute. Juventus failed to respond, with Marco ensuring Atalanta's clean sheet. The victory strengthens Atalanta's push for Champions League qualification, while Juventus suffered a major setback in their top 4 hopes. Still in the world of sports, Real Madrid moved level on points with leaders Barcelona after they narrowly beat Rayo Vallecano in La Liga. 2 goals in 4 minutes gave the hosts a comfortable first-half lead. Kylian Mbappe caught inside and slotted into the bottom corner before Vinicius Jr. produced a near-identical finish via a slight deflection off visiting defender Andre Ratiu. Pedro Diaz fired in off the crossbar for his first Rayo Vallecano goal in first-half stoppage time to halve the deficit. Jude Bellingham made his return from a 2-game La Liga suspension but was withdrawn late on after falling awkwardly. The result means Barcelona remain top with a game in hand, while Real are second on goal difference. Carlo Ancelotti's side travelled to city rivals Atletico Madrid on Wednesday for the second leg of their last 16 Champions League encounter. That's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that the Martin Amaule-led Rivers State House of Assembly has rejected Governor Fubara's invitation for a meeting. We also told you that EFCC to probe fraud allegations against former Osun State Governor Oyetola. Finally, you heard that United Nations Agency has reported a rise in attacks in eastern cities in the DR Congo. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.